It's time for the shop report with
What up, sports fans? Welcome to the Shop Report. I'm Barbershop Jay. I'll be your host for the day. Here's what's happening. Joining me on the program, as always, is none other than my cap from the NYC, a.k.a. Rucker Park, Brother Richard. Brother Rich, what's happening?
My brother and my friend, always honored and humbled to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful show.
Man, I appreciate you saying that, but you got to remember, I only gave you a couple dollars, man, okay? When I said talk it up, you know.
It was enough to say that. It was
enough to say that?
You paid me enough.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. And on the other side today, we got my man, as always. Sometimes he's with us, sometimes he's not, due to the fact that he's very, very busy in his other daily errands on his schedule. It's my man, D. Gully. D. Gully, what's happening?
Hey, all is well with the world today, my friends. Thank you very much for inviting me back again. I'm ready to get right to it.
Okay, I didn't give you that much.
I think you meant all is well with the world because the Browns are in Berea, and you know what that means.
You know what? I'm so tired. Listen. Let me say this right quick. I get the Browns fever. Okay, do I have to remind you all and our listeners, even though they're not the ones that's giving me all this flack right now? I remember Red Right 88, the drive, the shot, the fumble. So I understand it go deep with me too. But at the end of the day, man, we got to let this thing play out now, okay? All this talk like Gerald McCoy, for instance. That's all I see up and down my Facebook thread. Gerald McCoy, get Gerald McCoy. You know, look, at some point, man, it's almost like, the Browns, and all this talk, it's like we desperate. No, we ain't chasing nothing to nobody. Them days is over with, man. I keep telling y'all, man, ain't no more Andre Rison to try to say the franchise type moves, man. Dorsey know what he doing. Okay? So settle down, sit back, relax, put your seatbelt on. Otherwise, you're going to get the bail or you're going to have to stand in the corner. Thank you. Now, let's get to some of this action for today. We start things off with RJ Hampton. Are either one of you gentlemen familiar with RJ Hampton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you please, Brother Rich, briefly tell us what you're familiar, what portion or what part are you familiar with when it comes to RJ Hampton?
Well, certainly I became familiar with him as one of the top recruits in the country, and his family and his natural intelligence and his decision to opt out of the regular mafia that is the NC2A and go and pursue his own individual option. And having decided to do that, he went to New Zealand. I think this is a fantastic idea. Fantastic.
And what about you, Gully? Gully.
Not as much.
I need you to be on there. I need you to respond, man.
So much as his decision.
I need you to respond. Hold on. Time out. When I call on you, I need you to respond, sir, okay? Otherwise, you're going to have to go stand in the corner and put your nose in it. And before you respond to that, we just got another caller on the line here. We got my man Double J, the guy from up north, a.k.a. Double J, Joey James. What you say? See, if you had a cane when you're supposed to be not on time here, okay? Y'all got me messing up the script. Y'all know I'm reading this. Psych. Double J, say what you want to say to the people, man, right quick.
Hey, appreciate being on as always. I was dealing with some technical difficulties. I couldn't even send a text message a moment ago. So
I got you.
Just glad that I think everything's resolved on this side.
Yeah, as a suggestion, I would maybe upgrade from the Walmart Smart Talk phone. They're not that good, man. Walmart ain't rolling back no prices no more. Gully, go ahead and finish your thought. Again,
basically,
the guy with the delay. What are we doing here? Hello?
Oh, you got me?
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm more so familiar with with his recent decision than his whole background in the story.
Okay.
So I don't want to take anything from you because I know you got something to say. I'm going to comment and respond about that.
Okay, good. I appreciate that. Thank you. But Double J, since you're seeing how you just now joining us, we're asking the question: are you familiar with RJ Hampton?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Yeah, he's made waves across with his decision.
Okay. Okay. Slow down there, Kimosabe. I see you getting ready to get going. But I do want you to tell us briefly, what do you know about? How much do you know about RJ Hampton?
Well, he was a highly touted high school prospect that made the choice, rather than being a one and done, to get what he could guarantee from a financial standpoint, and by taking his talents overseas. He went the LeVar Ball route, and whether this is a 1-year stint, we'll see. I personally believe that'll be the case. To my understanding, it with the rules of the NBA draft, as long he's obviously, by making that decision, he of course is ineligible for the NCAA. But again, after this upcoming season, he'll be eligible to go to the NBA. We'll find out very quickly if that was the best decision, because again, I personally, I'm torn on it, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
There's the bell. Thank you very much. I asked all of you all that because, as you all know, and I just read up on it, and I'm sure most of the nation knows about this RJ Hampton situation. As you all alluded to, according to one outlet, and I quote, let me ask you this right quick. You all familiar with SB Nation?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. According to, and I won't mention who it was, but it was some outlet from SB Nation, right? And I quote, totally played, RJ Hampton, they're saying did, Kansas's Bill Self and Memphis's now new head coach, Penny Hardaway. And I say, pay attention to the wordplay. The guy got a choice. Haven't we discussed this over and over and over again? How come people can't see the fact that this guy has a right to exercise his choice? Because he ain't going to play for Duke, or no offense to Penny, because I like what he's doing so far with the program, on paper at least anyway, and I think they'll be successful, again, along with Patrick Ewing's Georgetown Hoyas. But anyway, I say better to play them than to play yourself. You go to college and do what we all know about the one and done route, right? If he go to college, right, and if he would decide to go to either Kansas or Memphis, didn't we just have this conversation about likenesses? Who benefits? This dude right now at 18 is exercising the same right that an 18-year-old had, well, maybe depending on what era you're from, to go over and join the Navy, Army, Air Force, or Marines. He going to go overseas, get paid, and then be able to and still be eligible for the draft, whenever that is. That's a win-win. Anybody disagree with that?
I know you ain't waiting to hear no disagreement from me.
Okay, I'm just saying. So let me ask this question then, if there are no disagreements to what I just said.
Well, wait a minute. I'll give you one devil's advocate on this.
Okay.
And I'll be brief about it.
Yeah, because I got my finger on the bell.
Could actually go down because, again, unlike the college athletes that are only playing within, against opponents that are within 3 years of their age, he is going to go up against grown men. So, again, the sample size is always based off of what they can see on tape. And, of course, oftentimes it's on a potential. So
hold it. Hold it.
Okay.
Hold on, let me ask you this. Let me make sure I'm following you. When you're saying he'll go up against grown men, you're talking about when he goes overseas.
Correct.
Okay. So you're saying if he goes up against grown men overseas, once he becomes eligible for the draft and decides to maybe enter the NBA draft, you're saying that in essence would drop his stock?
But it could.
Okay.
In comparison, because again, if you were to go to any of those previous listed schools, he's going to likely be, you'll have Dick Vitale calling him the diaper dandy. You'll have, the whole 9 yards. But again, he's going against individuals that are only within a couple of years of him. So again, it wouldn't necessarily tarnish his draft stock because again, they'd be buying in on the potential of what he could do. In comparison to going up against grown men, although he got a check, it could technically cost him millions if it looks like there's some weaknesses in his game.
Okay, but here, let me say this to you. I hear you, and I feel the sentiment. I get where you're going, but let me flip this other coin. You know me, and let's do the coin flip here. Let's look at the other side of this. I don't recall ever a time as a ball player, and anybody else I watched as a ball player, and any other player in the NBA I watched as a ball player, some of my favorites, Kobe and, guys of that ilk, where you're playing against better competition, in essence, in his case, men, and at the end of the day, when you become draft eligible, some GM or some coach won't jump on that. I don't think it will hurt his draft stock because he'll be far more seasoned than anybody else who came straight from college straight to the NBA, i.e. Michael Gilchrist. See, the same thing, and I use my son as a reference, and I talked to my son. He said he don't mind it. He's just glad to be a part of the program. Thank you, son. I love you. I used to tell him all the time, when you're playing against your brothers, your little brother's friends, and you look like the second coming of George Gervin, i.e. / James Worthy, with a little bit of Larry Bird sprinkled in, and you come in the house popping your collar, as a dad who played ball before you, and the reason why you here, I want to see just how good you are. I need a second opinion. But guess what? I'm going to go take you against guys who are grown, who are older than you. And if you don't do against them what you did against your little brother, then, but now if you go out there and do against them what you did against your little brother, and then you can play on my team. I promise you, especially with the climate the NBA is now, with all of this load management and drama and dysfunction and bad shot selections. The fabric is torn despite the stardom. Anybody disagree? We need more substance.
Again,
it's almost akin to a guy in college like a Tim Duncan. Let a guy stay 4 years in college in this climate right now, as opposed to some of his. Listen, he'll get drafted on the fact that he's seasoned. His stock is going. If nothing else, if it don't increase, it's going to at least stay the same. Somebody will take. But see, it'd be one of them teams like the despite all the chaos going over there now too with the Kawhi and the second opinion, and I'm gonna weigh in on that right quick too. But he'd be one of them teams like the Spurs. One of them teams that don't rebuild, they reload. They'll grab a guy like him. And no offense to this other guy, this Porter guy, the Denver guy, you don't draft a guy that's got back problems, man. Oh, and as far as this Kawhi Leonard thing, right quick, let me just say right now, despite the fact that he's my favorite player, and that's on record, being fair, not partial too. This whole deal about him leaving the Spurs, because there's been some chatter coming back up now about how he left the Spurs and why he would play and he's loyalty and all of that. Let me say this to not y'all, but them folks out there who follow that line of thought. Look here. We get what Popovich is doing and did and done as an organization. I respect how they play ball and played ball. I do. But if a player, you should know a player personally. Like I would say, if you're working at a job, so to speak, a supervisor, you can't look at all your workers, paint them with one broad stroke. You got, as a supervisor, you got to know which workers are your best and so on. So as a personal, or from a personal standpoint, man, popping them dudes should have known, man, all this dude, that what he did for them, man, you don't question if he tell you he hurt. And then going to try to stir up, I ain't saying pop, I'm just saying out of that organization. Then going to try to stir up some crap, man, you know what I'm saying? Because the team doctor said he could play. And then, of course, it then built the narrative from the fans' perspective, unfortunately, willful ignorance. Oh, they go after the player. Are you kidding me? I see everybody going that way. I'm going that way. I want to know. What role did the Spurs play in that? Man, if a dude tell you hurt, hey, and I know you, and I know what you done did, I'm like, you know what, man, go ahead on home, man. I'll cover your time. Go ahead and rest it up. I ain't gonna tell you, you gonna get a PDI and a. Y'all see where I'm going with this? I'm just saying, man. You know, Steven Jackson, he called it out, whether you think he a liar or not. You know what I mean? He told you, you know, all of that was rosy, ain't rosy. And if I'm not mistaken, my man Gully is a Spurs fan. And I understand why. But Gully, I'm asking you personally, do you disagree?
No, you know,
okay.
We are humans. We are subject to get it wrong. I don't want to make it a much bigger issue than it is, but the idea of it is a lot of people, because they love the Spurs, like I love the Spurs, because they love and value the way the Spurs have built an organization and the way that organization was all on the court seemed to be team first, and they had, through the years, even before Duncan with David Robinson, Sean Elliott, they always had Class A first, grade A nice guys, even trying to integrate Dennis Rodman. People believe that when they had a narrative that because they've been in the right, quote unquote, so long that they were
automatically right.
Yeah,
exactly. Great point, Brother Richard. Double J. Y'all disagree with him? Okay, go ahead, finish, Gully. Cause we gotta move on, but go ahead.
Let them finish. Yeah, and so because of that, we rolled with who we knew. We known the Spurs before we knew Kawhi. We known the Spurs because they traded for Kawhi, so we figured that they would all.
Oh wow! I don't know what happened.
Case, and tragically,
I lost you for a minute. You got to make sure you stay connected to your phone. But go ahead, finish.
All right, but because of that, tragically, they lost out on the opportunity to further extend their organization's legacy.
Yeah, I ain't
losing out on a guy that's going to do that.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't have no problem with Kawhi going to get a second opinion. If I tell you I'm hurt, I'm hurt. You get what I'm trying to say? Especially if you're a hooper, and we know what kind of hooper he is, at least from where we sitting. You know what I mean? He ain't one of them guys. You know what I mean? You know, but at the end of the day, think about this. That's why I will go off on players in terms of their performance. Just let me be clear on that. That's where the bulk of my whatever disgust or disdain comes from. But and I'm all for if you got nick and bruise or whatever it is, you get out there, you can play. But I'm respectful of the fact that we watched what Grant Hill went through. See, Grant Hill tried to win one for the Gipper or be a team player. And he was never the same after that. See what I'm saying? So, yeah. Get yours, Kawhi. And there ain't the front to again to the finals and the Warriors or whatnot, because I put a post up a couple of days ago. I said, look, man, as a purist, I want to see this thing go 9 games. And all 9 games be a playground series. Quote, unquote. You know what I mean? A playground series. I'm talking about your good old-fashioned Rucker, whatever park you got up there in Michigan, Double J, and Wood Hill for us in Cleveland. One of them kind of games where everybody, Brother Richard at the Rucker. When the legends used to come up there, folks were sitting on top of the buildings across the street. Man, you can't recreate that.
Absolutely.
You can't recreate that, but these guys can if they do it right. But anyway, back to this RJ Hampton thing. So we all saying that it's him going over. It's a surprise to most. That's why, the folks at SB Nation said, he done totally played Bill Self and Penny. What about him? He playing himself if he go to college and Mark Emery get another excuse my French fries, dollar, and he don't. Okay? So let me ask this question then. What does this mean for college basketball and the future NBA pipeline? Brother Rich, go.
I don't think it means anything, but I want to weigh in on a couple of things with this, starting with something Double J said. I do think it's going to affect his draft stock. I absolutely do. But I don't think it's going to affect his draft stock for the same reason. I think that where it shouldn't affect his draft stock is the basketball you gave us. I think that why his draft stock will be affected is because of the politics that is the NC2A.
Oh, gotcha.
Nevertheless, having said that, I don't think it'll affect him in the long run, because what you said is ultimately going to prevail. So he may drop, if he was going to get drafted in the top 10, maybe he'll get drafted 15th overall.
Got you.
And so that I can definitely see that. I don't think it's going to affect the landscape, because they've read the tea leaves and they understand these young men don't want to do that anymore. So they're facilitating ways for the one and done, which ironically will bring back college basketball. And I think that's why we're seeing an influx, a prevalence now of these young dynamic coaches going to college, which you mentioned in Memphis and Georgetown, two programs.
And Juwan Howard.
Attention to.
Juwan Howard from Michigan.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Juwan going back to Michigan. Exactly. These are programs that we are now going to pay attention to for a whole host of reasons, not the least of which they're going to be even more attractive to young players who want to go play for these Hall of Fame NBA players. So having said that, I think that's a good thing. One other thing I want to say about something we've talked about thus far is I have been on record, and you know I've said this for years, in private to you. I've never been a San Antonio Spurs. Never. Yeah. I've never liked their system. I think this is why their system has never really caught on as a great marketing ploy, because for those of us who come from inner city kind of basketball, we've always seen them as the Duke of basketball. You have to be a peculiar type player to fit in their system, and you kind of got to be a good guy in the sense that Pop really want disciplined people who are going to listen to him and really follow everything. And some of these players are not coming from where some of us come from. We're not just going to ride along with you just because you say so.
But let me let me interrupt you. Let me ask you this, Brother Rich. But is discipline though really a bad thing?
No, well, it is a bad thing from this point.
Okay.
When you're disciplining me, and I feel you're disciplining me not out of discipline.
Okay, got you.
See, Doc Rivers is a disciplinarian.
Got you. Okay.
There are other coaches that were disciplinarian, but you can discipline me. But there's an element where you discipline me as a coach, but I can sense that there's a little
some undertones
in my place element here. Yeah,
some undertones.
You want to keep me in my place.
Okay, so
So some of these players have said that.
Okay,
and that's the view people have of politics.
Okay, so let me give it to the folks out there who in layman's terms, what he's saying, Brother Richard is saying basically is it's that supervisor who got the supervisor position, and they telling you to go do this and go do that, not because it's something good or bad to do or something that's going to help, but because they can. You're going to do it our way or the highway type deal. You know what I mean? And you can't do that with grown folk, I guess. You feel me? But, I mean, nonetheless, I'll say this. Beyond the benefits of playing, professional basketball and earning a salary, this is about RJ Hampton, in the year before he's eligible, of course, to be drafted. He can also sign endorsement deals a year earlier since he's no longer under the NCAA's amateurism rules. Could put him in line for a lucrative sneaker deal to boot. Double J, what you say to that? Double J, you there?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What you guys? What you got? You in Gully today, man? My gosh, come on, man. We can't be having these delays. Go ahead. Did you hear the question I asked you?
No.
Oh my gosh. Let me read it again here.
I did.
Okay, go ahead, Gully. Go ahead, Gully.
Well, yeah, I think all of it is a very smart move by RJ Hampton. His draft stock being lower is inconsequential, wholly inconsequential. At the time that he's going to be going over playing with grown men playing basketball with grown men in the world stage on the world's game at a time when the world's game seems to be coming home to America. He's going to be able to develop in that system. If his draft stock drops lower, he obviously isn't concerned about that because he knows the contract he's looking for isn't the rookie one, but the one that will come after the 4 years. So he's going to develop as a player. Why not?
No. I'm saying okay.
Yeah. Okay. So he's going to develop as a player overseas. He's going to come back and drop to the draft. Well, he's going to drop to the low part of the draft, right? So what are the playoff teams in the draft? Do they draft in the top 10 or do they draft in the bottom 10?
Yeah, but
maybe in the mid to bottom 10 unless he gets a player with a draft pick. So he's going to come back and be situated on a playoff team having already been developed. So that means he's going to now, when he comes back, he's going to be in the playoff team. He's going to probably be more developed, so he's going to be able to position himself to be a great off-the-bench scorer for a team that's in the playoff, or Milwaukee, Milwaukee or Portland, or so on and so forth. So everything is alignment for him to have a fast track to money.
Come on. I don't want to hit the bell on you. That's what less is more now. Remember, less is more, because I want to add something to that. Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
I'm all finished.
Oh, okay. But I'm saying, but how does that fall in the way of his of endorsement deals? Because as far as him getting drafted and his stock dropping and all of that kind of stuff, that's the key to all of this. If he signs an endorsement deal, he makes up whatever monies that are lost, because that's the whole point of a draft position and draft stock, right? The money's associated. He can sign an endorsement deal and then sign shoe deals or whatnot. He can make up whatever money he's lost. And if you do go 15, how many? Who said no? Somebody said no.
I'll wait till I get the opportunity.
No, go ahead. What do we say no to?
No, well, I'm saying no to a number of things. I think overall, the bigger picture on this is that the NBA draft system as it stands right now is semi-broken. Because, again, yes, he's going to get paid, maybe a couple $100,000. And, again, maybe from his background, he may need money now, okay? And I'm not. None of us are in a position to judge, from that side of things.
Mm-hmm.
But however, it's ridiculous. What Gully just pointed out is he may slip to the bottom of the first round and end up on a playoff team, and then he's riding the bench versus, playing, being the number one pick and getting a guaranteed, $60 million or more, and then all those endorsements that you're speaking of. Mm-hmm. That sounds ridiculous. That's not benign to say that somebody that went and made the choice to get paid today is going to lose money tomorrow because of that one choice on its own. Additionally, as you guys were pointing out, he's going to play overseas. Now, the question then becomes, is he getting better coaching overseas versus where he would have ended up for a year in the NCAA? Obviously, we all semi-lean to the fact that he may face better competition overseas, but again, it doesn't add up. You're telling me that, okay, he's playing against, better players overseas, and yes, he's getting a check, but then he's going to lose millions of dollars because of that same decision, and yet the coaching he was going to receive over there is not as good as over here. And so I'm kind of bewildered by all of this.
Okay, so let me say this. At the end of the day, it's not how much money you have. I get it. I would love $60 million too. But it's what you do with what you got. At the end of the day, maybe it's a matter of principle for this guy. Maybe it's not about the paper. Maybe it's about the fact that spending 1 minute on any campus where in that 1 minute Mark Emmert can make another dollar off of him or Mike Krzyzewski or anybody. Maybe it's just the principle. I ain't doing it. Maybe I'm going to play overseas because he's trying to prove a point or something. I don't know. Me personally, when I first read that that's what he was doing, I didn't look at the dollars per se. And I get it. 1 + 1 = 2, but 1 + 5 = 6. Hey, 6 is more than 2. I get it. But hey, you know what I mean?
Let me throw this out. Let me throw this point to you really quick. One thing that we spent a lot of time on is that the NCAA system as a whole needs to change. The players need to be paid at the very least off of their likeness. However, again, looking at this from a macro level, if the NBA were in cahoots with the NCAA and to say, you know what, yeah, anybody that goes out that way, we're going to draft them lower. So, again, well, ultimately higher, of course, which means that their pockets are hurt. And then when these kids get these agents, they're going to steer clear of making that same choice that he just made because it's going to hurt their income potential. And that, to me, it throws everything right back.
So hold on, Double J. Please allow me to weigh in on this, Jay. Double J, Let me ask you. So you're endorsing, in essence, that you're acknowledging collusion is present here, which is what we're all saying, which is why I wasn't joking and kidding around when I used the language of the mafia, that he's using what he can to escape the mafia. If you're telling me that I either do it this way or you're going to punish me, now to heck with the fact that I can play basketball. I'm gifted. You by your own standard, you're projecting I was going to be a lottery pick. And because I decide to escape your methodology and mechanism, you're going to punish me for that? Tell me that is not illegal in law. If that's what I'm driving at. Force you to do anything.
Yeah. See, at the end of the day, my thing is this: how much money is he losing if he plays 1 year at whatever college? How much money is he making?
We're all on the same page there that the answer at the moment, at least to our knowledge, is supposed to be zero.
Okay, so how right? It's supposed. I'm just right. Okay, I got you. But now, how much money in that 1 year are the people where he resides under, the entity? How much money are they making?
Right, but that's apples to oranges here. We're talking player to player.
Well, guess what, though?
As an example, say RJ Barrett, if you were to say, he would have gotten drafted as a lottery pick, but this guy would have gotten drafted at the end of the first round because of the one decision to go play overseas. I find that there's so many flaws in that, it's ridiculous.
What the flaws in what? Going to play overseas?
Absolutely.
Why? If you can get paid anything,
should have been a kick in the behind to the NCAA to make some changes quickly. That's what we'd all like to believe, but they could very well make an example out of this kid. No different than what they've done with the other Ball family members, specifically LiAngelo. And instead, yet here we are, where this kid might likely end up at costing himself somewhere in the neighborhood of $50 million or more in guaranteed money.
The guarantee has to apply if he gets drafted. And remember, we're not talking about a kid that's in college that's decided to leave college to go play pro. He ain't even went to college yet.
That's right.
How can we talk about guaranteed money that he's going to forego? Because first of all, again, he's going to go and play pro overseas. He's going to develop. If anything, he don't get drafted, he'll walk in or walk on or be an undrafted free agent to a team like a Jonathan Simmons that played his way. Again, I know it because I follow the Spurs that deeply. A Jonathan Simmons that played his way onto a good roster, shined on that roster, and then went elsewhere to make his money.
See, and hold on, let me before you interject. Hold on. And see, that's my point. He's costing himself guaranteed money, $50 million, whatever. At what point, though? See, if he goes to overseas.
No.
Listen, if he goes overseas, I'm telling you, if he goes overseas, okay. Because now we apples to apples or grape nuts to grape nuts. I'm just saying right here, when he goes overseas, whether he has good coaching or not, he's going to become a better player, more seasoned player, just from playing against better competition, against bigger people. When he comes back, at whatever point that is, he may not, because I'm betting on myself. He may cost himself $50 million, in his first deal or whatever the case may be. But if you can play, and he's better at what point he come out than the guys who didn't go his route come out, he's going to get his money eventually. He cost himself.
Eventually. Look what you just said, eventually. That's assuming there's no injuries. That's assuming he's in the right system. There's a lot of assumptions being made there that he would have to earn his way, unlike anybody that took the traditional path.
What's wrong with earning your way, though?
Additionally,
what's wrong with earning your way?
Again, but there's no difference between them and anybody else. He could be a complete bust at the same time. So you look at it in just the last 2 years, the number 1 through 5 coming out of high school that went to college all got drafted as lottery picks. obviously, as we know, that the Duke guys are going to follow that suit here, shortly.
Yeah.
But so again, why this is broken is because they don't play the same game of basketball over there. FIBA rules are not the same as the NBA's rules.
Yeah, but it ain't stopped. It ain't stopped the international influx of players. Luka Doncic is doing just fine, despite playing it under the same rule.
Out after 1 year.
Say that again.
He didn't. He wasn't a 1 year pro.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Let's say this guy goes overseas and takes the Luka Doncic route. You saying Luka was seasoned? Because how old is Luka?
In comparison to this gentleman, hypothetically speaking, just from the number of years he intends on spending overseas, to our knowledge.
Okay, but how old is Luka in the NBA right now? 19 or 20? And Luka,
but he's been pro, I think he was 16.
Exactly. Okay, so let's say in 3 years. But the point is, regardless of the years or despite the years, it's the level of competition. Luka played overseas. And that's the killer part. How is it that Luka played overseas, but he come to the NBA and looked like he'd been in the NBA for 10 years? When you go against, I'm me personally, and then we're gonna move along right here. Me personally, I hope somebody in his camp is not looking at the monies first, because if that's the case, then take out not a life insurance policy, excuse me, some type of Aflac or something like that. Because as far as the injury thing, I'm with you on that point, because that could happen at any time, whether you get to $60 million or $16 or whatever the case may be. But I'd like for somebody in this guy's camp to be saying, "Hey, look, man, go get what you can get now from wherever you can go get, but go get better." Because Luka,
again, if your guy from Ohio State, if Otis had gone the route of this gentleman and had his knees buckle after that first year, because he went the overseas route, he wouldn't be sitting on the amount of money that he is right now, and wouldn't be, and he battled through some things even with the money. So, again,
but this guy, Greg,
a lot of grit here.
Yeah, but this guy, but guess what? He could go. What happens then if, let's say, he go to play for Memphis or he play for Kansas Bill Self, and he do that same thing? Now he ain't got no money.
Right, but he still has the eligibility to be there for a couple more years. At that point, he's not a pro. He can still be developed again under that same great coaching we're all speaking of. And at that point, he re-enters the lottery. Sure, he had a knee injury 2 years ago at that point.
And I promise you, at that point, if you got a knee injury, just like with this Porter guy, if you have an injury, you can, in other words, he can have an injury plan for that 1 year for college for free, and still his draft stock could drop. He still could cost himself money. Look, at the end of the day, I don't see. I see what you're saying about it could cost him 50, 60 something millions, but that's then. What is it costing him now? See what I'm saying? Because you're right. We know it's going to be a future, but there ain't no guarantee that we're going to be in it. So what
you can guarantee that the level of coaching would be higher just from.
Not necessarily, because again, I go to Luka Doncic. Apparently somebody over there doing something right. And real talk, even with the FIBA rules, and you can't touch the.
I'm disagreeing. I'm giving you the devil's advocate version of this because I know that's how some of the league looks at this stuff. And if as Brother Rich pointed out, there is collusion in existence at this point in time, unless the NBA wants to, say that, if we want to make this the Bloods versus the Crips at this point and say, no, we're going off and we're doing our own thing and we can do it better than your system with or without you. And I'm totally on that page that they have two leagues that they can use just like baseball, just like hockey, just like soccer, to their advantage, and have these kids paid and, by all means, include free education at a university of maybe that they form some kind of partnership with. and that's local to whatever particular city that they're playing in. That sounds much more lucrative than what the NCAA might ever do over the next decade. And so, again, unless that were to happen, as it stands now, the traditional route is the way that the majority of teams would prefer that you would go.
Okay, well then let me say this to you before we
for the 60 players that get drafted in that draft.
Right.
For the 60 players out of the entire world. And think of it this way. Matter of fact, we got to say less than 60 because wasn't Luka Doncic drafted?
Yes.
Okay, so that means less than the 60 players. Out of how many teams in the NBA? 30, 32?
Right. No, 30.
So
go ahead.
30. So of the of the 30 teams in the NBA, at least we can count what Sabonis was drafted, didn't play college ball. Luka Doncic was drafted, didn't play college ball. So for the 58 or 55 or so players luckily to be drafted, you're right, Double J. This system is actually more lucrative, possibly not only in the immediate but in the long term. This guy wants to guarantee a way that he's playing and getting paid for it at a point where he can play and get paid for it, and he'll let the chips fall where they may. I don't have any argument with
I don't either. And let me say this to you. They had asked this question in this article. Will there be more marquee hoopers? Well, I'm actually really asking that question, to follow in Hampton's footsteps. And then the other part from the article said one factor that makes this a strong possibility is the fallout from the NCAA FBI investigation. Postseason sanctions and or head coach firings could cause players under scholarship at affected schools and elite level prospects to rethink their plans for next season and beyond. I think the chickens done came home to roost. Go get yours. Go get yours. Because guess what? You ain't going to get another dime off of me. You ain't going to get it. All right, let's move on. Are you all familiar with Adam Silver, NBA commissioner, excuse me. His comments recently, or some conversation in regards to postseason play in tournament and a midseason cup for the NBA. Did anybody hear that? Anybody read that?
Yes,
absolutely.
I did read up on that.
Okay,
yeah.
Gully, I'll start with you on this one. Is that a good deal or a bad deal?
Well, I'm perplexed. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, already I think already there are already play-in tournaments, if you will, during the season. You got to remember, there's a silver basketball trophy awarded to the Eastern Conference and Western Conference champions already. Not at all really celebrated by NBA fans the way they celebrate the NBA Finals. So we have them. So I'm curious on what Adam Silver was going to do, would like to do to create more tournaments that give more interest or be more validated, if you will, by NBA fans.
Yeah, I actually like the idea. I like the fact that this guy, I mean, say what you will about him on other issues and whatnot, because I'm pretty sure there could be some things that folks could point out like, hold up there, Kemosabe. At least he's trying to come up with other stuff. You know what I mean? And the reason for it, they claiming that is because the West is so much more stronger than the Eastern Conference. You agree with that, Brother Rich?
I absolutely do not. I think it's a horrible idea. Well,
I was asking you if you agreed that the Eastern Conference is weaker than the West, but go ahead.
Oh, yes, I absolutely agree that the Eastern Conference is weaker than the West. I agree with that. But I think that Adam Silver's suggestions are terrible.
Really? Well, do tell.
Well, he's trying to incentivize the players to play harder during the regular season, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because if you can do it all, you can do that. If they don't want it themselves, then they don't care what you do.
I'm just getting paid. Exactly. That's what you're asking. You're asking millennials, what you call the today BA. That's his issue. The issue is, Gully just told us, there's always been a Western Conference They used to celebrate that. And the Western Conference title and the Eastern Conference champions. Nobody cares about that anymore because this generation of basketball players are thinking more off the court than on the court. They just want to get through the season. That's why players are fine with taking 20, 30 games off now. Superstars. That's why players don't have to join the dunk contest and that the All-Star game is a show and we don't really care about this and we hang out with each other. I don't want to do – they're not going to be – nothing they can do in that realm with this generation of players is going to inspire them to play harder during the regular season. All of us know that the regular season is a wash in the NBA now. Nobody cares about it. Not just because the West is strong, it's because the players don't contribute any kind of competitive level on an average night, just every once in a while.
Hey, what is it called? The Today BA? Is that what you calling it? Or are you saying this is Bransky ball? This is Bransky ball. Yeah. Oh, you're saying that's what I call it. I'm the only one? Okay, well then what about
Bransky ball, the Today BA? Yeah.
I happen to agree with you.
Okay. Yeah, because according to Mark Stein, he reported all of this. He's saying that the tournament, if they were to do it, would either be a mid-season championship or used as a play-in scenario to ensure that the best 16 teams are fighting for the championship. And guess what the idea behind all this is modeled after?
Soccer.
The European soccer leagues that have multiple championships with different competitions.
It works in Europe for a reason. It works different.
Okay, why does it work in Europe?
I'm ready to. It works in Europe.
I'll let Double J.
It works in Europe because it incentivizes and gives the opportunity to other lower division teams, for the most part, with the exception of the Champions League, to have an opportunity to play for something. For you to go up against the big boys, this would be, the only thing I can relate it to on our side would be if the NCAA basketball teams actually were included in the tournament, and they also, so they're getting their shot at LeBron James.
Or the G League. Or put the G League in there. Put the G League.
It would be
one at a time. One at a time.
Let us see what y'all really got. Let's see what you really got. Let's see what you. This is your organized basketball. A lot of G League players to really go up and see can they win a mid-season tournament against NBA players, and let it be against the lowest. That's how you do it in soccer. The lower stacked teams, and then at the end of the year, that G League team might go up to the NBA, and that maybe the Cavs will be in the G League next year. That's how you do it. That's how it's done. It's not going to be done because you were trying to get these people to do it like that.
Okay.
Well, while we would all love promotion relegation in the NBA, if not in some of the other sports, we're still fighting for it in Major League Soccer. But additionally, I love the idea of including the G League teams. Because could you imagine the frenzy the media would have if the New York Knicks lost to the Hershey Bears? They would go bananas.
Yeah. Matter of fact, if I'm now that you said that, I'm seeming to recall, isn't that already been recorded in some sort of sports history? Some team, oh shucks, that wasn't supposed to beat. Oh man, I wish he hadn't done that because I can't even recall it. But anyway, yeah, we'll keep going from there. But the NBA is saying part of Adam Silver's defense, but his argument here and why this would work. It says is best exemplified by the changes that the NBA made to their All-Star game. So in other words, they're saying, look at the All-Star game. Any of these changes that we're talking about could work if you base it off on that. You agree with that, Gully?
Yes, absolutely. And I was immediately thought about what we talked about just previously. How about a perfect opportunity in February where the game doesn't mean much, since you don't have the All-Star teams based on conference anymore. You have them based on the best players. USA versus the world. That would be perfect. It's just like the Little League World Series. USA team versus the world. You have the global international stars. You'd have the guys that went overseas, that are balling overseas, put together a team, and then they play in February on a Sunday or so against the USA team, have a much more competitive game, and everyone around the world is interested, giving a more global audience, expanding the reach of the product, which is what Adam Silver is trying to do. So I think it ought to be done if he could do it that way.
All right. Good stuff there, young fellow. Brother Rich, what about you?
I absolutely agree with everything Gully just said. Now, if we're doing those things, absolutely.
Double J, you disagree or what?
No, I would love to see that and more. I think it's adapt or die. Again, we've seen the what once was a great game and weekend of All-Star Weekend. I think there's a number of things, and even that the esports partnership that the NBA has right now with 2K, with the 2K League, they have, I believe, 3 tournaments in addition to the regular season. And I'll tell you this, and this maybe is what piqued Adam Silver's interest to begin with, is that the Knicks gaming, to my understanding at the time, from what I watched, was in dead last. They were the worst team, and they weren't making the playoffs. Sounds like James Dolan's running that side of things too. But nevertheless, they won 2 of the 3 tournaments. And we hear it all the time in the NCAA at come tournament time that there's some good regular season teams and then there's good tournament teams. So it adds a whole dynamic and an additional element that says just because your season was trash, you have something to play for. So I'm all in for this. I want to see it, and I hope it's as inclusive as everybody mentioned with these teams, whether they be from, Akron to Hershey, Pennsylvania. I don't care where they come from. Live stream the game, have the final played on All-Star Weekend, and let's go.
And you know what? The reference finally came back to me in that last thing you said. It's about as recent as the Dream Team, the first Dream Team. During one of the closed practices or whatever the case may be, when the college guys or the second team went in there and beat Jordan and them. That's what it would be akin to if the G League team beat the New York Knicks. No takers? All right, tough crowd.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, because we can't talk about that game anymore, because remember, that was the game that we never saw. We can't talk about it.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why Chuck Daly said, he flipped his collar up and was like, no, will be no media coverage today. No, it won't be. I wouldn't mind seeing it. I wouldn't mind seeing the G League knock off the Warriors. Excuse me. Or, they couldn't beat the Cavs, though. I'm telling you that right now. Colin Sexton, free throw. Anyway, yeah. You all familiar with the story? Right quick, just a little sidebar. You all familiar with Josh Jacobs? Nobody?
No, do tell.
The running back from Alabama?
I'm not.
There's a story done on him by the Players Tribune. And we're going to cover it next week on the show. I wanted to do it today, but it's so poignant and so heartfelt that it deserves time all by itself as far as I'm concerned. And when we go to discuss that, I definitely will read the article from begin to end, and we'll break it down once we all get together. Gully, I hope you can be in on next week on that too. I think this is really important. And I'm going to try to get Herm in as well, because this story is just really, it jumped off the page at me, and it's not being discussed or talked about enough. And again, it deserves its own time slot, so to speak. But in the meantime, I'd like for you all, you three, and anybody that might be listening to this once we publish this broadcast, to go to the Players Tribune and type in or look up Josh Jacobs. The title of this article is called "People Say I Run Angry." Okay? And when you all, I really, really want you all to read this article. When you all read this article, even though we've all been together for quite some time, of course, Brother Richard, you and Gully, you and, we a little bit longer than Double J, but Double J, you as well, you all should have some idea of when we do this, the substance from which I try to speak. Okay, the no matter how much money is attached or not attached or whatever it is, the reason why I get us all together and the reason why we come to the people as we do, man. This guy's story embodies why no matter how much good or how much bad you experience in this life or in a sporting event, you stay true to who you are. I'm not biblical, but I will give a biblical reference about King Nebuchadnezzar and the 3 boys. The moral of the story, if you're going to stand, stand. If you're going to sit, sit, but do not waver. Okay? You got to read this guy's story, man. I will not move away from why we're doing this in the first place. And this story to me, and I happened upon it, is a reminder to stay the course. So would you all please, when you get a minute, at your earliest convenience, go check out this guy's story. Now, getting back to the last topic or subject of the day. Who here? Now here's a brain teaser for some of you all. I don't give out many brain teasers. You know, it's been a while. So, who's familiar with the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship? Anybody?
I am.
Brother Rich, my man. I said, I'm throw this out here. Brother Rich gonna slide all up on the left side. You know what I mean? Yeah. And guess what, Brother Rich? I just got done walking the dog, my little Pomeranian. You didn't get it? Got you. All right.
Good.
Yeah. You know I'm moving to a gated community. I just had to buy a dog first. I'm just kidding. But Brother Rich is familiar with the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship. Double J, what about you?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. We batting 2 for 2,000. We looking like Tony Gwynn out here, Gully. Come on, man. Come on, bases loaded.
Oh yeah, I'm bringing them home. I am.
I'm bringing them home. I am what? You're familiar with the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship or whatever that is you're eating?
Yes, because.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
Got you. All right, got you. Well, you want to chew first? Or do you need to go stand in the corner? Got you. Well, seeing how we 3 for 3, credit to me. This year's selection in the Bill Walsh Diversity Coaching Fellowship, I found to be very, very interesting. Now, we all know the story about minorities and so on and so forth, and being head coaches in the NFL. The Rooney Rule, which, as brother alluded to, Richard. You see what I'm saying? Right here? Say, yeah, it's time for my nap. As Brother Richard had alluded to on previous programs, in terms of when it comes to NFL hires, we're seeing a lot of retreads, but not a lot of new threads. Gee, my knees. Let me take a sip of water here. But you feel me, Brother Rich, where I'm going with that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Derrick Jackson. Let me read you his story. Derrick Jackson is the Morehouse College wide receivers coach, and he was selected by the Kansas City Chiefs to participate in the Bill Walsh, as we just mentioned, NFL Diversity Coaching Fellowship this summer. In his words, I quote, "I am very excited for the Bill Walsh Minority Fellowship opportunity with the Kansas City Chiefs," said Jackson. "To be able to work with a first-class organization and a head coach like Andy Reid is remarkable. This is a great opportunity to learn and continue to develop my coaching craft from coaches at the highest level." Jackson enters his 8th season as an assistant coach at Morehouse and 16th overall in the collegiate coaching ranks. He is responsible for coaching a wide receivers unit, which helped the Maroon Tigers to the 2nd-ranked scoring offense in the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, or the SEAC, in a 7-3 overall record. Now, what's interesting about this story to me, this program. Well, let me back up a bit. Let me tell you, it was established in 1987. To provide, of course, coaching experience, the diversity, to a diverse group of coaches every year. It was named after Bill Walsh or whatever. And he said basically this was set forth to expose talented minority college coaches, high school coaches, and former players to the methods and philosophies of NFL coaching staffs. But here's what I found very interesting, and I didn't know this. This program has tutored more than 2,000 minority coaches through the years and has grown to the point that now every NFL team participates during all-season workout programs, mini camps, and training camp. Brother Richard, let me ask you right there. That many coaches to go through this program, why has it not translated to the NFL, at least from where we sit?
Well, I think that certainly that program itself, we have to give kudos. We have to stand up and applaud the program in and of itself, because it's begun to provide that treat. And I don't think it's a coincidence that he's with Kansas City, because they're one of the foremost teams in providing those kind of opportunities. So let's look at that from that. Let's give a one hand for that.
Okay.
Nevertheless, ultimately it comes down to the good old boy network that has to hire those coaches. And that's where we have the problem. The problem in a few is not, we're going to have to look not at what's happening on the field. We're going to have to look at what's happening in the suites, in the ownership boxes, and who's really making these decisions to make these hires and getting these coaches in there to create that kind of diversity that would allow for some more Eric Bieniemys to get in there. I think that's where we have to go.
Got you. You know, and let me just mention right quick, Double J, we're going to go to you on your thoughts. Morehouse opens the season September 1st in the inaugural Black College Hall of Fame Classic versus Alabama A&M University at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium, none other than Canton, Ohio. The kickoff is set for 4 p.m. I am definitely trying to be there. For sure for that one. Go ahead, Double J. What you got to say?
Well, I'm going to piggyback on what Brother Rich just pointed out, is that, you know, the focus of this is regarding head coaching and to provide more opportunities. What we're not speaking about is the lack of diversity in the front office. And again, that's what diversity as a whole, I believe it leads to a 19% increase in productivity and revenue for a company. So naturally, you would say, if you're any business owner, that you would want to be a little bit more inclusive.
Okay.
So while we put a highlight on head coaches, instead we should be looking at maybe adding more general managers. Who, you know, so again, but it comes down to that good old boys network, and so we'll see where the future lies. But this certainly has and will continue to be a step in the right direction. And
Gully, we're gonna give you the last word. Take us on out of here for the day. What do you say about this diversity program?
Lyndon Baines Johnson. That's all I got to say about it.
No, you gotta elaborate on that.
Well, we all said it. I guess I'm a bit more negative, I guess, in my reaction to it. What I mean by that is the program is definitely helping to add diversity to the coaching staffs in or around the NFL. But I think in its intent is basically to add more of those senior level positions, like a head coach, like a GM, to the NFL teams, but it hasn't done it. I think what happens is this program, again, I say Lyndon Baines Johnson, this program is an attempt to say we've done something, but when the good old boys get involved, they sort of put a governor, if you will, on what it is it's supposed to do. That's why I mentioned Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Okay.
Look at some quotes on him about how he dealt with certain things, dealing with a certain community when he took over as president. I still like the idea that at least we're getting, I think without the program, we would see less diversity on the sidelines and in the front office. And I applaud the idea that those who are accepted to the program don't cynical as with as much cynicism as I do. I like that people do embrace it. They embrace the opportunity, and they season and take it for all it's worth. I just wish it would be allowed to be worth more than what it currently is.
Good stuff, fellas. I appreciate y'all for coming on the show today. This was actually a pretty good one. That for once we didn't have no technical difficulties, no cutting and scratching. You know what I mean? Who needs Pete Rock all up in the mix? Not right now. DJ Jazzy Jeff. We holler at him later. And on that note, it's been fun, but we got to run. We appreciate y'all for listening. Don't forget to check us out right here on the Spreaker.com network. You go to the search box and you type in the Shop Report. Or you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, and of course via email, the Shop Report 365@gmail.com. And if that don't work, Google it. For my guests from the NYC, a.k.a. Erica Park, Brother Rich, my man up north, Double J, and D Gully, and all those who follow us on social media, we say thank you for your support. I'm Barbershop Jay, and you've been listening to the Shop Report. And remember, the next time y'all want to know what's really going on, man, come to the shop. Walk-ins are always welcome. Holla.
Dog pound.